So guys, on this tutorial we're going to learn this beautiful gown with this sleeve. It's a very lovely sleeve and I hope you will love it, and you will definitely love it. So that's the sleeve. I said the sleeve area to make it looks like the one you see on the thumbnail of this picture. So let's get started to the tutorial. So now from the edge of my pattern I come down by 2 inches. So for me I usually start from that place for my measurement. So from that I measure my shoulder. That is 8. So I come down by 8 inches for my bust line, where I start measuring my bust. So I connect the lines. So I measure 8 inches also on my bust line. So I connect that 8 inches, the 8 inches together to give me my armhole length. So from that line that I just drew just now, I'm trying to adjust it. So I come down by 1 inches for my shoulder slope. So from my neckline, I come down by 3 inches with 3 inches depth. So I'll just connect that together. I'm connecting my neck together. Then for my shoulder slope, I connect it like so. So on my bust line, I measure my bust measurements plus my 1 inches allowance. I usually measure my allowance right from my pattern paper to avoid confusion. So I divide the shoulder by 2, then come in from that line, come in by 1/2 inches. So I connect from my bust measurement to the 1/2 inches that I took inside to the shoulder slope to achieve my armhole. So now from that my starting point, I measure my half length. My half length is 16 inches. I don't think you are seeing that length, but I'll try to draw it. Yes, so you can see. So it's 16 inches for my half length. So the half length, so from that half length I'll measure my waist. The waist is 27. I divide it, whatever my waist is, divided by 4, then plus my 1 inches allowance. Don't forget I used 1 inches for my allowance. So 1 inches allowance. So to get my darts, I measure my nipple to nipple, which gives me 7 inches. So divided by 2, that is 3.5. That's what you see me doing. I measure 3.5. So from that 3.5, I measure 1/2 inches in, 1/2 inches out to get my dart leg. So I measure from that my dart up 4 inches to get where I want my dart to stop. So I measure 4 inches upward, then I connect, then 1/2 inches for the dart leg. Then I added back the 1 inches that 1/2 inches front, 1/2 inches back for my that's 1 inches for my darts. So I added it back to my measurement to avoid any shortage. So from that my waist measurement, I come down by 9 inches for my hip measurement. I don't think you are seeing that very well. I'll draw the pattern up to get it, to see it very well. So from that my hip measurements, I measure my hip, which is 40 divided by 4, that's 10 plus 1 inches allowance. That's what I measure on the hip area. So then I try to come down for my dart area also. I come down by 4 inches also for my dart leg. So I connect it also back to that my 4 inches. I connect it back to the dart. So this is the hip that I just mentioned now. I try to draw it up for you guys to see very well. So that's the 40 then plus the 1 inches allowance. So now I measure from my shoulder to where I want my length of the fabric to be. So that's what I'll try to do now. So that is where my length, that's where I want the length to be. So if you want a pencil effect, you measure that your waist, your hip measurements minus 6 inches. Whatever you get, that's what you are going to measure here on that your length plus 1 inches allowance. So this one is 40 minus 6 inches, that's 34. So that's the 4 divided by 4. That's what I got there plus my 1 inches. So I've connected my lines You can see I've connected all my lines together. So now I'm trying to cut the fabric out. Now the design has an half cut. That's why you see me cutting it all through. I'm not supposed to cut the half length if it is a straight gown, but it is a straight gown, but it has an half cut. So that's why I'm trying to cut it out. So that's the half cut, that's the front part, this is the down part. I'm trying to cut out the down part. Don't forget, if you don't want your down part to have a hip, a pencil effect, don't cut it the way I did. Just cut it straight. So this is my down part. I'll cut the same as my back also. The difference between the front and the back is just the zip allowance. Now, this front part will be cut into two, because if you check the style, it has a line in the middle for where the bottom will be. So that's the back part. I only added the zip allowance. That's what I did. So that's what I did, only the zip allowance. So this is the front part. This is the front part. No, that's still the back part. I added the zip allowance. So the other ones was the front part where I cut it into. That's the skirt. I just notched the darts, that's all. I only notched the darts. That's my front part. This is the down part. Then I added the zip allowance. Then this front, I realized it has a v-neck, not a round neck. So that's what I'm trying to change now. So I come down by 8 inches. So I come down by 8 inches for the v-neck. So I connect it to my shoulder. That's what you see me doing. So I'll just try to cut it out for my V effect. So that's what I'm trying to do. I forgot is a v-neck, so that's just it. So I come down by 8 inches. So that is it. So now to cut the cape, I bring out my pattern paper to cut out the cape. So this is the cape I want to. So I measure the remaining part of my shoulder width. I measure it, that's 3.5. So I measure it on the first thing to do. I measure it plus my half inches allowance. So that's what I measure it all through to the down. So from that my 4 inches, I measure slantly my neck. You can see how I place my ruler for my neck width. That my neck width, which I said 8 inches. So I measure it as 8 inches. I connect it to my shoulder line. So then from there I connect it to my length. So I measure the length first for them plus 1 inches allowance for the sewing allowance. So I connect from that length to the neck width for the cape. So that is all just for the cape. It's just about creativity. If you can study the designs very well, you get the styles very well. So that's my neck. That's where I will attach my neck to. So I just have to measure half inches for sewing allowance. That's all. I measure half inches. That's what you see me doing. Half inches for the sewing allowance. That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. So yes, so that's all for the cape. So I'm just going to cut this cape now to 4 pieces. We have for the left and for the right. Then I'm going to add my stay or any stay that I want it to have. So I'm going to add paper stay. Then that's the half inches I added. So I'm going to add paper stay to it. So now to cut the sleeve, trying to cut out the sleeve. So I measure my round armhole. That's what you first see me doing. Then from my round armhole, I come down by 3 inches. Then I measure my length. That's where I want the length to stop. So then from that my armhole to my 3 inches, I connect the 2 lines together as if I'm writing one big 2. You can see me the way I wrote. I actually connect my chalk as if I'm writing a big 2. So now where I measure my length, that's where I'll, it has a flare at the down part. So I measure that place, then I measure the round measurement for that place. I place it on this length. That's where my flare will start from. So I measure it in 1 inches allowance. So I'll connect from that measurement to my armhole now. So that's what you see me doing. I'm trying to connect it out. So that's what I just did now. I just connected it. So then I will just cut it out. That's just the sleeve. So from that measurement, I'll just join my flare. So this is my skirt. I notch my dart. So that is my circle flare that I'll use for the sleeve. If you don't know how to cut a circle, watch my video. I have a circle video. I'll connect it to this video. Watch it out. So that's my front. So the front also is cut into two. So that's the cape. As I told you, I'll cut 4 pieces. I cut 4 pieces. Then I'll join together. I'll add my stay. So that's the front part, which is a V-neck. So look at it. It's also cut into two. So this is the back. Oops, I've not finished cutting it. So that's the back part. So so that's it. I just added my zip allowance. So that's all, guys. I don't want this video to be too long, guys. So please just watch my next video for the sewing tutorial. Thank you.